Hello and welcome to another lesson in science called Cell and Cell Organelles. And here we will only understand the animal cell. The components of an animal cell. Firstly, we have the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. It is thin, fragile, elastic, and it separates the cell components. That means whatever is there in the cell from the outer environment. The structure of this plasma membrane, protein molecules are embedded or come in between the two layers of phospholipids. It is a selectively permeable membrane as it allows only some substances to enter the cell and prevents others. Due to this property, molecules of water, salt and oxygen enter the cell and carbon dioxide exits the cell or comes out of the cell. If you look at this picture over here, you will see that there are two layers, the upper layer, the red one, and the lower layer, that is the phospholipid layer, and in between these blue protein molecules. Okay, now this plasma membrane is selectively permeable, means it allows molecules of water, salt and oxygen to enter and carbon dioxide to go out of the cell. If any changes occur outside the cell, the inside of the cell does not change because of the plasma membrane, and this is called homeostasis, because the plasma membrane only allows what it wants to go out of the cell and what it wants to enter into the cell, and this is called homeostasis. Another component of the cell is the cytoplasm, which is the fluid between the plasma membrane and the nucleus. It's a moving sticky substance, and in that sticky substance there are cell organelles within it. Okay, and this cytoplasm is a medium for all cellular chemical reactions. So it's a fluid, okay, it is moving, sticky, and it has all the cell organelles within it. Now the part of the cytoplasm, another part is the cytosol, and this cytosol stores important substances like amino acids, glucose, vitamins, etc. Now in animal cells, the cytoplasm is more granular, grainy, and thicker, that is dense. Now this is the animal cell. You can see the plasma membrane, the nucleus in the middle, and the liquid moving sticky substance within the cell is called the cytoplasm. Cell organelles, what are they? They are subunits, they have specific functions, and they are present in the cytoplasm of the cell. So when there is an animal cell, there is cytoplasm, which is the sticky substance, and there are small subunits called the organelles of the cell. They are actually the organs of the cell, but because they are very minute, they are called cell organelles. You can see the animal cell here, and all these structures which are there in this sticky moving substance called cytoplasm are the cell organelles. Now, each organelle has its own lipoprotein membrane. Okay, so each of these organelles is just not lying there. It is also covered by a membrane made of lipoproteins, and apart from the nucleus and the chloroplast, okay, the green chloroplast which is there in plant cells, none of these organelles can be seen by an ordinary compound microscope. They are so minute that they have to be seen with a highly magnified electron microscope. Now the cell organelles present in an animal cell are nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes, mitochondria, and the vacuoles. First, the nucleus present in the center of the cell, covered by a double-layered membrane with small pores which allow the passage of materials inside and out of the nucleus. You can see the double-layered membrane. Then we have the pores over here which allow something to get into the nucleus and some material to come out. Okay. Now, The nucleus has one round nucleolus and a network of chromatin fibers. This within the nucleus, the round structure is called the nucleolus, and here within the nucleus we have thin chromatin fibers. Now, chromatin fibers are thread-like structures, and at the time of cell division, when the cell is about to divide, these chromatin fibers come together, they condense and form short, thick chromosomes. Now, the functional segments of chromosomes are called genes, and why this is important? Because the chromosomes and the genes are the ones which make you look like your mother or walk like your father. So they carry the hereditary characteristics from parent to the next generation. So that is why chromatin fibers and chromosomes, which are there in the nucleus, are very important. This again is the nucleus. Okay, from the nucleus we get the chromosomes. Part of the chromosome is the gene and the DNA. So the functions of the nucleus are to control all metabolic activities of the cell. Whatever happens in the cell is controlled by the nucleus. Then to control cell division, that is the breaking of the cells, or dividing of the cells. And then it is involved in the transmission of hereditary characters from parents to offspring. Next comes the endoplasmic reticulum, which conducts various substances inside the cell. See the nucleus, this is the nucleus of the cell, touching it is the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. It has a net-like structure made up of many mini tubes and sheets which are filled with fluids. So all these tubes and sheets here filled with fluid. It is connected to the nucleus from inside and to the end of the cell, that is the plasma membrane, from the outside. Now, rough ER. Now there is two types of endoplasmic reticulum, that is the rough and the smooth. The rough one has ribosome granules on its outer surface. See these dots here? Okay, they are ribosomes. Yeah. Functions of the ER. It is the framework that supports the cell. See how it starts from the middle, that is from the nucleus, and ends at the plasma membrane. So it gives like a framework or a structure and supports the cell. Another function is the conduction of proteins from one place to another. Now, the toxins or the poisons that enter the body through food, water and air, they are dissolved in water by the ER and then thrown out of the body. So it helps us also to stay away from poisons. Next is the Golgi complex, made up of 5 to 8 hollow flat sacs, like empty plastic bags, hollow, 5 to 8 of them, called cisternae, and they are parallel to each other and filled with liquids called small amount of liquid called enzymes. Okay, see this is the Golgi complex. Yeah, flat cisternae. These are all called cisternae. Yeah. Now, proteins coming from the ER. Look at, this is the ER which we just learned about. Now, the protein comes like this in vesicles. They come towards the Golgi complex via the cytoplasm. So, we have this endoplasmic reticulum. The proteins, they are packaged like in vesicles and they come towards the Golgi complex. Now, they fuse with the formation phase of the Golgi membranes and empty their contents into the cisternae. So, these proteins come packaged as vesicles. Then whatever they have within them, they drop it into the cisternae. Okay, here. Yeah, they empty all their contents into these little sacs. Yeah. As the proteins pass through the cisternae, see it starts from here, empties here, and it goes from one sac to the other, one sac to the other. And those enzymes which were already present in the cisternae, they modify or they change these proteins. Now, and again, these proteins come out here, and again now they are packed in vesicles. So can you see there are two vesicles. The protein which is packaged comes from the endoplasmic reticulum, comes here, empties in this cis phase here in the cistern, comes, moves here, it gets transformed. Again it is packed as outgoing vesicles. The vesicles exit from this maturation phase. This is the cis phase. This is the maturation phase of the Golgi apparatus. Therefore, we say that this cistern or the Golgi complex works as a packing department. Okay, it unpacks the incoming vesicle, transports it from one place to another, and then packs it again as an outgoing vesicle. The functions of the Golgi complex are, it is the secretory organ of the cell, secretes stuff, it modifies, sorts and packs material synthesized in the cell like enzymes, proteins and pigments, and then sends them to the plasma membrane, lysosomes, etc. So it packs, sorts it out and sends things to like plasma membranes, lysosomes, etc. The Golgi complex also produces vacuoles and secretory vesicles. It helps in the formation of the cell wall, plasma membrane and the lysosomes. Next, we have the lysosomes. Yeah, they are simple single membrane bound sacs filled with digestive enzymes. You see, single membrane, okay, small cell organelle filled with digestive enzymes. This is a lysosome within the animal cell and this is it separately. Okay. Now, due to various metabolic activities, some activities that take place in the cell, we get waste which is generated in the cell. Okay, any activity produces waste and so the cell also has waste. Now, these lysosomes digest this waste which is there in the cell. Yeah, the functions of the lysosomes. Okay, they destroy viruses and bacteria that attack the cell. Therefore, they help our immune system. When they attack these viruses and bacteria, our body does not get that disease. Then they are also called demolition squads. They destroy worn out cellular organelles and cellular debris, cellular waste. They destroy it. Okay. Then they are also the suicide bags. Suicide is taking one's life because when a cell becomes old or damaged, these lysosomes, they burst and the enzymes digest their own cells. Okay, can you see here what happens? That's why they are called suicide bags. Now, during starvation, lysosomes have another big, function, because at that time when people don't have food and the body is starving, these lysosomes digest the stored proteins and the fats, and therefore the body can still remain for a longer time without food. Energy required by the cell is produced in the mitochondria. Mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell. This is the structure of mitochondria. Okay, it has a double membrane structure. This brown color structure which you can see here is the outer membrane, and the folded structure inside is the inner membrane. Now, the outer membrane is porous and the inner membrane is deeply folded. The folds are called cristae. So, because there is no place for the inner membrane, it folds, and these folds are called cristae. The outer membrane is porous, means it has small pores in them. Yeah. Okay. The inner cavity, that is the bluish kind of thing you can see here, is filled with a proteinaceous gel. Okay, containing ribosomes, phosphate granules and DNA. Now, because it is filled with all these kind of substances, it can produce its own proteins. Okay. Now, with the help of enzymes, Mitochondria oxidize carbohydrates and fats in the cell, and then energy is released in this process and stored in the form of ATP. The full form is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so mitochondria oxidizes or gives oxygen to the carbohydrates and fats which are coming into the cell. Here energy is released and stored in the form of ATP. Now, animal cells have more mitochondria than plant cells because animal cells have more activities, they need more energy, and therefore, because mitochondria produces this energy, there are more mitochondria in animal cells than in plant cells. The functions of the mitochondria: to produce energy-rich compound ATP or adenosine triphosphate, then the synthesis of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, etc. by using the energy in ATP. Okay. Next are the vacuoles. They are the storage sacs for solid or liquid content. So whenever there is extra solid or liquid content, it gets stored in this empty sac called the vacuole. Look at this figure here. You can see the empty sac called the vacuole. They don't have any particular size or shape. Yeah, the structure of the vacuole changes according to the need of the cell. If there is anything to be stored, the vacuole will become larger, and if there is nothing, the vacuole shrinks. A vacuole is bound by a single membrane, so it is a single membrane structure just like the lysosome. Functions of vacuole. Okay, see the vacuoles in an animal cell. To maintain the osmotic pressure of the cell, to see that not too much water is going out, nor too much water coming in, to maintain that pressure. To store metabolic products like glycogen, proteins, water, etc. Now in an animal cell, they store waste products also and food. In amoeba, it stores the food before digestion. So these are all the functions of a vacuole. And this is the structure of an animal cell with all the cell organelles present in the cytoplasm.